We're live for our Real Talk on Real Estate. And the question is, where should you build multifamily real estate? I'm going to kind of go over where you guys should be building, what our demographics are. And not only that, I'm going to be talking about what you should be looking at right now. Should you be building, where you should be building at, and what type of product you should be building. I'm going to go over all of it real quick. I want to give you guys some insight of where the market is, what we're doing, what we're looking at. This week has been a very interesting week, and mainly so because we've been able to do some massive research. So in spite of what's happening in the market, we've been able to go in and figure out ways that we can get product coming out of the ground vertically. And so if you guys understand the way banking works, which I know some of you do, some of you don't, but I want to educate you guys a little bit about what's happening in the industry right now, in the finance industry, because if you don't understand what's happening in the finance industry, you're not going to understand what's happening in the multifamily sector or any investment sector whatsoever. So listen up. Here's what we got here. So look, when we're building multifamily, one of the biggest things that we go after is an affordable housing model. And a lot of you guys know that because I've been talking about that day in, day out. But what we're doing is a lot of adaptive reuse. And so when people ask us, they say, Jerome, what is adaptive reuse? That's when we take a product that's already there, like office, let's say, for example, or we did an old bowling alley, or we go in and we de-amenitize something that's already there, like retail, okay? We adapt what's there and we reuse it for something more viable financially. So the banks love it. And so when we do an adaptive reuse, it's when we take an old product, we either level it and we rebuild it, or we go in and we just remodel it to turn it into something that is needed in that area. Now, more times than not, when we go in and do a renovation, it's not just a renovation. We will typically go in, maybe renovate a portion of it, and then we'll build new on the land because I love free land. And so when and where do you know where to build in these circumstances? So I look at things demographically. Let's talk about a few of the cities across the United States right now. And let's just give some simple theoretical examples of what's happening across the country. Okay, so let's go into a city like Indianapolis, Indiana, for sake of example, where I actually just got a project that came to my plate. Now, I'm not typically an investor in Indianapolis, Indiana, although I know the area very well because when I was in my early years of sales and network marketing, one of the big things is our trainings took us everywhere. And so I got to know all major cities across the United States. And so I remember looking at Indianapolis, Indiana years ago as just a good sedentary state that in a big city that was doing well financially. But I didn't know about economic growth. I didn't know about where the city was. I just knew that a lot, like in the downtown area, was a little bit ugly. But I didn't care. I was a kid. And so when I drove through there just a few years ago, I remember seeing all the growth demographically. I remember seeing all the economic growth. I remember seeing all the real estate. And I was sitting back excited about the growth that I saw because I'm now in the real estate sector and so aggressively. Take Chicago, for example. You take downtown Chicago and you look at some of the surrounding areas like Naplesville and in some of the areas even more rural than that. We have some warehouses down in DeKalb, and we take a look at these big, massive Amish communities that once existed in 100% popularity. Now we have industries like Ferrara Candies going in there. We have stuff like Facebook going in there. We have 3M that's going in there. We have all kinds of stuff that's going in there. And so the growth is exponential. And so we follow growth, okay? And I always tell people and explain to people, I just want to be the small guy that carves off a small piece of a big giant development. And the way we've done that is I explain it being a small fish in a big giant ocean. Because when you go out there and you just drive down the road and you see a building in your city, that building might be worth $30 million, $50 million, maybe even $100 million. And that's just one building. And so when people tell you that there's no shortage of money out there, it's because when you look at things on a small sector and a macro sector, there is so much money out there, trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars just in minute areas. So I always explain to people that you have to go into demographically growing areas or demographic areas that don't have a lot of land and they're redeveloping. Okay, so like inner city areas are great like this because you can go 20 minutes or an hour out of town, but if all the shopping, all the lifestyle stuff, all of the activities that are for families, for individuals, sports games, and everything else happens within the inner city sector. Why would you go elsewhere? Now, if you're raising a family and you want to raise your family in a semi-rural area like we do, then I don't mind driving 20, 30 minutes out of town to be able to get to the city. But for development, you don't want to build an apartment complex where I have my house, because we're in the foothills of the mountains. There's one way in and one way out. Problem with an apartment complex where I live, there's not enough traffic nor the ability to fill that product. So when you go in, you're looking at building multifamily, one of the biggest things you want to look at, what is the traffic count and what type of need is there in this area? So the first people that we go to, this is how we determine where we actually build multifamily real estate. Listen up. This is the key component right here, ladies and gentlemen. So we go in and we don't go and say, hey, Jerome is intelligently brilliant, and because we believe that this city is growing, we're going to just plop this apartment complex right down here in the middle of this city. In fact, we do the contrary. We ask for permission, not just from the city and what they're looking at as far as growth, but we look at the big dogs in the industry, the big bad property management companies, these guys that are filling the real estate, because that's their job, that's their full-time job. We're going to hire them to also fill our real estate for us. So if we're going to hire them to do a job for us and we want them to succeed at it, don't you think it'd be a great idea to be able to get their opinion on what they're seeing professionally in their market? And so we want to know what they're actually seeing in any market. So instead of just going in and kind of throwing a needle or throwing a dart at a dartboard, trying to hit the bullseye, and not knowing where it's going to land, it can land in the 20, the 10, the 40, the 50, wherever it's going to land. We don't know for sure, right? Unless you're a dartboard expert. But what we do know is that if we have a barrel and we have a scope and we can target that right at the bullseye, and with that scope, we can hit it and it goes right to the red bullseye, wouldn't you much rather hit the bullseye knowing that you have a tool of expertise that'll take you where you need to be to win? And so that's real estate. We don't play guessing games. We go after the badass professionals that'll get us there. And so when we're talking about going in and knowing where to build and what to build, we talk to the people that are leasing it. They know what's needed. They know how many people they're turning away because they don't have enough one-bedroom apartments. They know how many people they're turning away because they don't have enough two-bedroom apartments. They know how many people are coming to the table saying, I need a one, a two, or a three-bedroom apartment versus the other, right? So like they say, well, like 65% of the people that come into our office need a two-bedroom, two-bathroom apartment, but you're going to go out and build a bunch of one-bedrooms. Bad decision. These guys know who and what is needed in that specific area. Now, who's the second person that you guys go to? Do you guys go to get your teeth done by a cardiac surgeon? Or do you guys go get your teeth done by an oral surgeon? Or do you guys go and get it done by a dentist or somebody that is a professional doing what you're doing? Do you go to your doctor to have them work on your car? No, it sounds crazy, right? Like you take your car to an auto mechanic. You don't take your car to your heart physician to be able to go out and have them work on it. So the same thing happens in development, ladies and gentlemen. You go see the professionals. So what we do is, one thing that most people don't realize in the real estate sector is that the commercial real estate brokers are like surgeons. You know, these guys specialize. They go in and they might have a general real estate brokerage license that they once sought after and they achieved and maybe started off in residential real estate, but they went and took continuing ed classes in NAI to go out and get certified as a commercial broker in a specific sector where they specialized in either office, where they specialized in retail, where they specialized in commercial land, where they specialized in maybe Class C multifamily, or which is value add product multifamily, or maybe they specialize only in new construction Class A, fully amenitized Class A product. And these guys, when you find them, they are like physicians that specialized in their trade, because these guys, that's all they spend their time and that's the only place they spend their energy working is in that specific sector. They don't go off and moonlight in retail. They don't go off in moonlight in industrial warehouse. In fact, so much so that when you go to them, like you go to CBRE, or if you go to Colas or Marcus and Millichap, or any of the big brokers, if you go into their offices in any major big city and you ask them, if you ask a multifamily person about being able to do commercial retail underneath your multifamily, they're going to sit back and say, I can give you general information, but why don't we bring X, Y, and Z in from my office down below that specializes in retail, and let's collaborate on this. That way we have a retail professional and we have a multifamily professional, and they're going to tell us what the need is for that product in that market. So what's real cool is we just seek out the people that already have the data. These folks are selling it, they're reselling it, they're capturing it, they're watching the market go up in gains, they watch it plummet when market circumstances are otherwise compromised, and they watch it go back up. They sell it, trade it, sell it, trade it, sell it, trade it, and they know all the product in their area. And not only do they know all the product, they know the buyers. They know the institutional buyers, the private syndicators, they know the people that are in the game. And so we want to know what those folks are buying, because let's say, for example, we're going to go and build a product that we're going to sell. Some of you guys aren't interested in doing what I'm doing. I'm getting older, so I'm sitting back going, I want to keep my product. I don't want to sell it. But God only knows what the future holds. So at some point in time, I may sell my product. So if I build that product only keeping Jerome Maldonado in mind, not keeping in mind the end user that might be down the road in the future when maybe I do decide to sell it. At one point in time, I bought an 82-unit apartment complex and a 76-unit apartment complex. Now I sit back and they're the smallest of our multifamily real estate portfolio. Everything else we own is over 100 units, most of which now is over 200 units. But at one point in time, I thought, I would own this stuff forever. Now I sit back and every once in a while I think, well, maybe I'll sell it and deploy that money because of my equity into something larger that I'll hold on to long term. So if I'm doing that, and if life circumstances change and I decide I want to sell it, how many of you guys want to be stuck in a piece of real estate that nobody wants? Nobody. So the moral of the story is always build what's needed, not what's wanted. Don't build what you want, build what is needed. And so the areas that you're going to build in are going to be areas where the product that you're building is indefinitely needed today, and projected use and needs are in the future as well. So if you get stubborn and you go in and build what you want or what you think you want, you might win, but why play risks and lose? Just go in and be the small minnow in a big giant ocean. Follow the big developers, economic growth, the city, and what they've set forth for economic growth, bonds, roads, libraries, schools, and everything else. And if you follow that like a small fish in a big giant ocean, you'll always succeed. And once you have an area that you believe is that right area, always go in and get affirmation. Get confirmation that area, based on current market rates, comps, and economic growth, those brokers and property managers can either sell or fill the property and the product that you're going to buy. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you like our content, you want more content just like this, we produce a bunch, then pound that thumbs up button, click and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you'll always get notifications. Let's see here. Howdy from Florida. What's up from Florida? Jose, I want to build an 8-unit, 2-bed, 1-bath apartment. I have the land to build, zone 4 ready to go. Good, man. My question is, what is the average price per unit? I don't know. Every area is different, Jose. You can go right down the road in your own neighborhood, and 5 miles from each other, the prices are different. The rent rates are going to be different. That's for you to ask the brokers. That's exactly what I'm talking about right now, Jose. So what I want you to do, Jose, is I want you to go back, rewatch this video, and then put hashtag repeat so I know that you rewatched it. And if you go in there and you pay attention to what I'm talking about here, I never depict my own rent rates. I go in and get what's called pro formas. When I get pro formas, that tells me what the rent rates are. And that also tells me if my project is financially viable, because if the rent rates are lower than what I could actually build that product for, stabilize it, and have a profit and return in, nobody wants to work for free, then I won't build it. So I only build once I have affirmation that the rent rates and the build cost coincide, where I'm going to have profitability. And if I don't, I walk. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us. You guys go out and make it a great week. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, there's tons of opportunity out there, not just in the ground up construction and discounted land sector, but there's people out there that are going to start losing real estate because they've over leveraged themselves. They've taken out 5-1 arms. That 5 years from 2019 to today is now expiring, and they're on an adjustable rate mortgage, not being able to service the debt on the buildings and the developments that they once were able to do so. And so the opportunities for the taking. Is this happening to everybody? Absolutely not. But the small percentage that it is happening to opens doors for investors like you and I. Take advantage of it, pay attention to it, and shop for it, and learn how to underwrite commercial real estate. You guys go out and make it a great day. God bless you guys, and always go out and compound your success.